Good afternoon, everybody. It's Tuesday. Yay. I am so happy to be here. I wanted to talk a little bit about stress. And I hear a lot about it. I hear a lot about how people are stressed, how things are stressful. I know I say that too. I know I've gone through that. I call myself a recovering stress addict because for many, many years, I think I was in a constant state of stress where my life was pretty much the adrenaline and cortisol were on full, all the time. And what happened as a result of that is that my adrenal glands burned out. I had adrenal gland burned out and got pretty sick because of that. So hello, thanks for being here. Hey, oh, it's Tasha, yay! So stress can happen, we've been talking about this last week or so, I've been talking about the 5 wisdom bodies and how they can influence our health. And stress is one of those places that most of us find out that it actually can come from multiple sources, ways to heal the stress. So a lot of people think, well, I just have to, I don't know, if you're watching and you know what are the ways that you've heard that you can be less stressed. And maybe, I know there's probably a little bit of a delay, but most people think about meditation, or maybe not most people, maybe I know a lot about meditation, and so I think about meditation a lot, which is a great way to be less stressed. Doing meditation or doing mindfulness can help a lot with the mental wisdom body that we've been talking about. It can also help with the emotional wisdom body, helping to regulate the emotions, and it can actually make physical changes in your body too, so it helps with the physical wisdom body. So that's one particular way. So if you're not familiar with mindfulness or meditation, there are lots of different ways to Google it, and I'm thinking I have some free, I have some blogs on my website on centeredyou.com. I have some free meditations. There are courses on meditation that I teach, so there's a wide range. Basically, it's watching, becoming the watcher, being an observer, instead of being so caught in what we're doing. And I'll tell you, it's been a lifesaver for me through most of my life. Or at least for the last 20 years. Not through most of my life. Now we're coming on the other half of it. There's majority. So mindfulness is one piece of it. The other piece, so mindfulness is watching the thoughts in a non-judgmental way, just seeing what's there. The other piece that comes up with that I know people who are coaches will know more about is the thoughts that come along with that. So there's the piece of being aware of watching what comes up, and then what are the thoughts and how can they affect your emotions. So what we know to be true is that our thoughts that we have can affect our emotions, and those emotions can then affect the actions that we take. And that is a really important cascade of events within stress. So we think, no one will ever love me, or nothing that I do is good enough. And it's a thought that we have that we fully and completely believe most of the time, and it's a thought. So this is where it gets a little tricky. Like, it's a thought and we can change it. So there's so many different ways to change your thoughts, and that's a great way of dealing with stress. So we have paying attention to the thoughts and changing the thoughts, watching the thoughts and changing them. Then the third way, maybe even I'll say another way that we can work with stress is looking at what are we taking into our bodies. So the physical body, again, going into the physical wisdom body. What are you consuming physically. What are you consuming physically that is leading to stress? So usually the things that I hear people eat and then they wonder why they feel so agitated are sugar, a lot of sugar, and a lot of caffeine. So they affect our emotions, they affect our thoughts actually as well. The vibration of this food and what we eat has a chemical reaction in our brain that can affect how we feel in our moods, like if we feel depressed or anxious. So when we're dealing with stress, we can look at how can I create an environment for myself that would be most nurturing, most conducive to less stress. So mindfulness, being aware of the thoughts, changing the thoughts, and then what are you consuming in that physical way? In the same way of something that you can add in instead of like taking something out is how are you exercising, right? So exercise has been shown to be a great help with stress. If you are in adrenal fatigue, you don't want to do too much big movement though, because your adrenals are already burned out, and that's not a good idea. So if you think you might have adrenal fatigue, do something a little more gentle like yoga, not hot yoga. That's not good for adrenal glands, your adrenals if they're fatigued. But a more gentle hatha yoga. The practice that I teach, that I'm certified instructor in, is integral yoga, and that's a really nice, gentle, can be gentle depending on, you can be really advanced with it too. Okay. So the other piece is, what are you consuming in your mind? Okay, this is another part about stress that most of us don't think about. Are you scrolling Facebook every day? I say that as I'm on Facebook, looking at the news stories. What are you consuming? What are other people saying around you? What are you saying? What are your things that you're putting out there into the world? So in shamanism, we talk about the seeds that we plant in our own mental gardens are what we reap, what we see in the world. So what are you thinking about every day? What are you believing in? What are you participating in each day? So that's some of the core pieces that I see, and that's kind of like, again, the oversimplification of stress. I've done all sorts of research papers on stress and how we can change some of the stress reactions in the body, mostly with meditation, and how those can affect people who have gone through traumatic instances like stroke. And I want to give you just a little bit an overview, something to hang your hat on. Like, look at what ways you're stressed right now. Is it that you're not setting up good boundaries? Are you not saying no to the people that you need to say no to? Are you taking good care of yourself like you would a young child? Feeding it the food that is good for it, moving your body in a way that would be beneficial for it? Are you treating it with love and kindness? So I hope this is helpful as you're thinking about ways to be less stressed. And if you're curious to learn more, please let me know in the comments below. I'll put a link to, I'll put two links. I'll put a link to my free calls that I do. It's a 30-minute call mini session that I do with anyone who's interested, anyone who's having health problems and wants to learn more about how these 5 wisdom bodies can influence themselves, influence their lives. And I'll also put the link to my new class that's starting October 31st, the Whole Body Upgrade. And this is part of what I've been doing, these Facebook Lives, is some of the material that we'll be covering in more detail and more depth, more experientially, so that you'll be able to apply it to your own life. So I would love to hear from you. Let me know how you're stressed, what's going on, and what you try to be less stressed. I will talk to you later. Bye.